Welcome to part 2 of the crochet along for the Hexi cardigan. Today we're working on the width of the cardigan. So what I would do is get a jumper, fold it in half, and then measure the distance from the middle to the armpit. Mine is 13 inches, yours will probably be smaller. And then we're going to work on the width to make that 13 inches. So I have now slip stitched into the corner space, which is what I needed to do. What I'm going to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to turn the whole thing round. So with this time we're going to work in rows and we're going to be turning it wrong side, right side, wrong side. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a cluster in this space. It will look wrong to start with, do not worry about that. And then we're going to put a cluster in every space along until we get to a corner space. And then in the corner space, we are going to do a cluster, 2 chains, and another cluster. But let's show you first. Oops. So what we're technically doing now is working. If you've ever done a blanket and you've done granny stripes, this is going to be like a granny stripe, except we obviously do have the corners. I'm going to very soon need another marshmallow pie, I think. He's looking a little bit sad. I say he, could be a she, could be nothing, you know what I mean. So I'm just making sure I'm working the right way so the arm's not getting any work anymore. So we're just working down the body. We will add more length to the arm, so do not worry about it. I know it looks very short, but we do add length. I'm just going to keep doing clusters in all these chain spaces until I get to the corner. So on this part now, we've got 4 corners, but we're only using 2 of them as corners, okay? So once you've done your first stripe from here down to here, this is one of your corners. This is going to work on the body part. So this is the width across here, and this will work on the body length. But now we're at a corner, so we are going to do a cluster, chain 2, and then another cluster. Then I'm just going to turn my project, not turn it as in turn it, but I just mean turn it around a little bit. And then we're going to do the next cluster. And then we're going to keep working along the bottom. Like I say, this will add length. It won't give you all the length you need, but it will give you some of it. And I know that we're working on it inside out, and this stitch is now the right way round, but do not worry about that, okay? You could open this bit at the bottom out. That would help. Just don't undo those stitch markers, otherwise you'll find that you start doing the arms again, and then we don't want to add any more width to the arms. You don't have to do this in DK either. You could do it in an Aran or a chunky. You just need to make sure that your measurements are correct. As long as your measurements are correct, you can do it in whatever yarn you like. I did my last one in an Aran and it worked out quicker than this, but this one is still beautiful. We're approaching our next corner that we're going to treat as a corner. I think my tummy's trying to tell me I'm hungry today. And then we're at the corner, so we're going to do cluster, chain 2, cluster. And then we're going to rotate, I'll say, rather than turn, I'll say rotate. So when I said it earlier, I thought, oh, everyone's going to think they have to turn their work over. That's not what I mean. There we go. And then we're going to work back up the front or the back, depending on what it is. So we're getting back to this stitch marker, so it's been a little bit of a pickle, but it won't bother us on the next round, on the next row, so don't worry too much. This is sort of reminding me a bit of our watermelon at the moment. I think it must be this pink. It's like skin, rind, flesh. It's alright, it does go more red again soon, I think. So remember, the corner of this at the top, we are not doing cluster, chain 2 cluster, okay? We now only have 2 corners where we are doing that, and this one is not one of them. Right, so now we're back to the corner and we're just going to whack a cluster in there. And then what we're going to do is chain 3. Then we are actually going to turn our work, so not rotate, we're going to turn it, and we're going to work this way. So that now our stitches will be the right way on top of the wrong way, if that makes sense. Just turn. Now I'm going to leave this as a chain, and I'm just going to do my next cluster into here. There we go. So I've got my double, which we will put a cluster in when we come back round, but at the moment I've got a little space there. So now we are just going to do all around again, cluster in each space until we get to the corners. Oh, my yarn genie's decided to stop working. What's going on? There we go. Now we're nearly back at the corner, and guess what? We're going to do a cluster, chain 2 cluster. Oops. There we go. So here's my corner, and we're going to put a cluster, chain 2 cluster. And then we're nearly back at the corner, so we're going to put a cluster in here. Then in the next one is our cluster, chain 2 cluster. And then in the next one is a cluster. Look at that nice factory knot. Hopefully it'll be a little bit hidden. We'll see. And then go back up the other side. The factory knot might annoy me, but we'll have to get over it. Rotating, go. Now we're just approaching the end of this row, so we're going to put a cluster in here, a cluster in the next one. Now you will notice that I don't have a chain space here to go into, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to whack one double into here like this, and then that's your chain space for next time. So chain 3, 1 2 3, turn it over as in flip. So now you'll be working the wrong side, and then we are going to turn this one into a cluster here. There we go, and we're going to work all the way down. And we're just going to keep going in that sense until we get our width. So mine's 13 inches. Obviously, when you get back to the other side, this is going to have a chain 3 in it. No, not a chain 3, sorry. A cluster in it. And then you're going to do what we've just done here, and you're going to make a chain 3 into the edge of the cluster. Right, now I realised just a moment ago I didn't exactly explain this well, so I'm just going to show you what I mean in this corner. It's not actually a corner, but you know what I mean. Cluster, cluster, cluster. Nearly there. So here we've got a chain space at the end of our row. So we are going to whack a cluster in here. And then what we're going to do then is chain 3, 1 2 3, turn your work again, and then we're going to put a cluster into this space. So wherever you get a chain 3, you whack a cluster, and then you do another chain 3 and you go into the next space. and then you just keep going like that until you reach the correct width. So when you get to the end of this row, we're going to whack a chain 3 in here, and then we're going to do our cluster into this next space. So once you've gone up, down, round and back up quite a few times, eventually you'll get to the measurement. Here's my measurement. I've got to 13 inches, which is exactly what I wanted. And now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to fasten it off, because in the next part we are going to join it down the bottom here, and we're just going to add some length. Okay, so that's it for this part. Just up and down until you get to the right width, and then fasten off. One last thing, if you don't want to have to keep measuring all the time, like we did before, start here and count how many rows you've got. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 rows. So I'm going to go and do 32 rows. I'm going to write it down to remember for the next side.